Okay. First inclination, of course, is to blame everything on Facebook, which it could possibly be. But again, I'm always switching different mics and stuff out, so I'll go ahead and accept some of the blame for that. There we go. We got the mic up and working. I can hear the background noise. All right, so this is Carbon County Commissioner Chris Lukasiewicz, and this is the meeting after the meeting. I'm going to take about 15 minutes or so while I'm doing some things here. Answer any questions you might have at the same time. Oh, hey. Hi, Donna. Hi, Madeline. Thank you guys for joining me again. Commissioner Chris Lukasiewicz. This is the meeting after the meeting. This commissioner meeting today went pretty quick. Unfortunately, there were technical difficulties, and we were actually unable to do the live stream broadcast. So our IT guys are trying to figure out what occurred with that. In the meantime, what I'm going to do, we do have an audio copy of the meeting. So I'm going to, hopefully in the next hour or two, get that audio version of the meeting uploaded to the website, the Carbon County Commissioner's website, and then I'll push it on to the C4 Commissioner website also. What you'll see is it'll really be it'll appear to be a movie, but it's just going to be a still photo of the Commissioner's boardroom, the conference room, with the audio playing. Won't be as exciting as seeing the video as it was recorded, but again, at least the audio will be out there. Again, that full transparency. So stand by for that. I'm going to try to get that in the next hour or so up and going. And I just took a picture of the conference room so I could go ahead and use that to build kind of the audio file that needs to be added to that. Well, again, Chris Lukasiewicz, Carbon County Commissioner. This is a chance for any questions and answers. As always, I can be reached at 570-503. I'm typing it in. Feel free at any time to give me a call, set between 5:30 and 7:30. So a couple things on the agenda. We did hire a new purchasing officer. Our former purchasing officer resigned maybe about 4 weeks or so ago. So again, a new purchasing officer will be offered the position based upon interviews that were done. I did vote no to that selection. I think the individual who we selected is a very talented individual who's going to pick up the skill set required as a purchasing officer extremely quickly, undoubtedly. I just thought there were other candidates who were more technically, more qualified, technically speaking, for the position, and we had a great discussion with it. So again, I do believe we did ultimately make a choice that will be positive for the area of purchasing in Carbon County, nonetheless, or regardless of my no vote. The second item that came up, I think, of note would be that we did vote unanimously to go ahead and move forward with an appraisal of 2 properties, Jim Thorpe Area School District property for potential rental properties and Mock Chunk Trust Company. Remember, this is all part of the 4476 Susquehanna Street project. If we do concurrent construction, we're going to have to move 4 offices for up to about 10 months to temporary locations. Once the renovation of 44 and 76 is complete, then we'll have to move them back. It'll cost for that time period to move them and bring them back and everything associated with the move, to include the rental, about $100,000. So that's, again, if we're doing concurrent renovations, 44 and 76 at the same time. And I'm going to upload a sterilized document later today for the public to see of the analysis. It will cost the taxpayer an additional $500,000 on this project if we do sequential renovations, 44, then 76. So no doubt in my mind, critically important that we weigh all the factors, but we do have to considerably weigh the cost, because normally in a project you really look at three things that can go awry or really mess up your project, and that's time, money, and the scope of work. Those are the three elements you work at. So again, the time, we want to get it done, the project, as soon as possible, right? Because there will be some disruption for temporary relocations. But at the same time, it saves a lot of money by compressing your construction cycle. So that's why I'm a big proponent of the concurrent renovation process. And again, we're talking $500,000 savings versus a $100,000 expenditure, which means, you, me, the taxpayer, would save $400,000. Now again, a little bit of disruption, but again, every county government has a continuity of operations plan, right? A COP, right? And that COP means if for some reason services disrupted, maybe there's a pandemic, maybe there's a flood, an earthquake, you're able to relocate or adjust your operating procedures while still carrying out normal day-to-day activities. So therefore, like I said in the meeting today, while you might be uncomfortable, quote unquote, with a little bit of disruption in service, the fact is, you got to be able to do it. You got to be able to be moving and continue operations. Let me give you an example. And again, I always have to go back to my own history and experience as a soldier, right? We had something called a jump talk. So we were set up in a tactical operations center. But again, the Army is always moving, right? The units are always moving. So you have to move your tactical operations center, your TOC. But you don't just pick up the whole TOC, lottie-dottie everybody, and move them to the next place. No, what you do is you send a forward element, you keep operations going back here in the back, then you send a small element, a jump TOC, forward. They set up operations, now you're redundant, and then once both are up and operational, the jump TOC and the main TOC, then the main TOC will break down and they'll move and link up with the jump TOC, thus becoming the TOC. Same thing when you move a department temporarily for a rental, right? You don't just shut everything down for a week and do the move. No, you're holding operations in both locations at the same time for a short period of time, all right? Just until you ensure everything is working. You have continuity of operations. That's a COP plan, right? Or a COOP, right? And then boom, you go ahead and relocate. So again, that's what I'm suggesting. I'll be opening the document. A few weeks ago. I'm always trying to be helpful, Madeline. So again, anytime you have a question, I'll do my best to answer it. I will answer it. From time to time, it won't necessarily be the answer that you want, but it will be an answer. I am waiting back. Ryan Yosti, if you're listening, please reach out to me so we can do a follow-up on that issue we've been looking at up on the Broad Mountain. Appreciate that. Oh, D&L Trail. I hope everyone had a chance to look at the rendering for the south end of that project. And that was simply what's being referred to as a trailhead. So as you come off the pedestrian bridge, let me see if I have a graphic. Yeah, right. So, I did have a graphic here earlier on that. And again, it is on the Commissioner's Facebook page and my Facebook page, right? So there it is. I'm trying to, let me move my screen thing here so I can see where I'm really at here. All right, there we go. All right, so you should see that on the website or the Facebook page. Chris, Carbon County Commissioner, or Carbon County Commissioners, you can see the rendering. Now that is just one piece of this $403,000 project, more or less. That's going to run from the south end of the parking lot, north end of the parking lot, connecting the bridge to the far end of the parking lot where where we reconnect off the asphalt and along the side of the river there to the D&L that heads up to the Lehigh Gorge. Now we expect that the bids will be out sometime here in the fall. With construction, which is only planning on about 2 weeks, we'll go ahead and set about a month aside, the month of April aside, a 2-week period to construct that D&L connector through the county parking lot. So you'll have that new trailhead set up, very inviting, information kiosks set up, or information, a billboard set up, place to lock your bikes up and stuff like that, some seating and stuff. You'll come off there, and then what's going to happen, the current guardrail is actually going to be moved about 5 feet or so in towards the parking lot. And then where that guardrail was, what will be put up is split rail fence along the river. So you'll have, running up the county lot, you'll have split rail fence running all the way up along the river, right through this path that's going to be created. And then you'll have 5 feet of pathway, and then you'll have the guardrails. And those guardrails or guide rails will separate the parking spots from the pedestrian bicycle pathway through the park lot. County's only going to lose, estimate at 8 parking spots. But again, most importantly is the safety of individuals transiting through that lot. Not like it is today where you have cars backing in, parking parallel, and they have to cross the bike path or pedestrian path, which are 2 lines through the parking lot, in order to continue and transit through. So I think it's going to be a big positive change. Now I'm trying to think about the block grant produced. Let me see if I can bring up some block grant information here for you all, because that is, there's some right there. That's 5. All right. Let me open a recent one here. Just bear with me. All right, so let's talk about the Carbon County administered COVID-19 relief Carbon County block grant, right? If you go to the carboncounty.com, click on the COVID-19 relief portal, it'll take you to the transparency page where you can see the 219 applications that have been submitted for the grants. This totals about $15.3 million in grant requests. We only have $5.79 million available. So the categories in which we received applications, one application for broadband, and that really is an earmark that the county has set aside $500,000 as a placeholder for a request for proposals that will be going out. I've been working with Kathy of the Carbon Chamber, reaching out to the service providers and school districts to help us find the areas in which there's no service or they're underserved when it comes to broadband connectivity, because we want to enhance the ability of the school districts to conduct distant learning and education, plus facilitate the hospital's ability, St. Luke's and Lehigh Valley specifically, to conduct telemedicine activities. So again, we have 219 applications, 1 in the broadband category. We have 2 in behavioral health. That only adds up to about $89,000. We have 13 municipalities, to include the county, seeking grant money. That's $1.3 million. $1 million is a set aside or a placeholder for the county. Right now, we don't expect to need a full $1 million to recoup the costs incurred by the county. But again, that's a placeholder, and if that money isn't used by the county for what the costs we incurred, well, then that'll go back into the pot for redistribution to other eligible applicants. We have 72 nonprofits that have applied, totaling $3.2 million in requests. And then you have 115 small businesses seeking $7.76 million. You have tourism, you have 16 entities at $2.3 million. So again, total 219 applications, $15.3 million. The biggest issue that we're seeing during this quality assurance, quality control portion is that the majority, or I can't say the majority, although it's estimated to be 50%. A lot of entities who applied have not submitted all their paperwork. You know, your tax forms, your 990N, if I recall, your determination letter that you're a nonprofit. You have to get that stuff in, and we're working diligently to move through them. Now, the only ones that still have to be done are the 72 nonprofit. The other ones have been at least assessed, and emails and phone calls will be taking place, say, hey, you got to get your documentation in, or you will be eventually determined non-eligible. It's probably going to take us another week, so you're going to see our timeline probably slip about 1 week, at least in this phase, whereas we tentatively anticipate it finishing up by the 8th of August with our quality assurance, quality control, and you can see the process at the portal, the COVID portal. So now I think probably no later than, instead of the 8th, no later than the 15th, we'll be disseminating all these 219 applications to the committees that have been stood up. But I still think we're pretty much on target for a determination to be made by mid-September. All right, we're saying about 13 September to make a determination and then start notifying individuals. And I think we're still on track to make that, because once we get through this quality assurance, quality control, you're going to know what documentation is actually missing. Now, I will say, if that documentation does not come in, while you may be awarded a provisional, no money will be dispersed until we have the totality of the requirements. We're actually getting ready to have our entrance audit here in the next 2 weeks. We do have a significant audit process that will be taking place. You'll see a little bit of that information on the transparency tracker sheet, but we're collecting a lot more data, primary alternate contacts, IRS data, revenue statements, things of that are required by us to collect to make a determination of an award. So stay tuned to that. What else in the commissioners meeting? Rent relief program. And that's where I'm going to leave it, and then I got to go ahead and head on out of here. I'm going to do some remote things this afternoon. Carbon County Rent Relief Program. It's a part of the CARES Act. Catholic Relief Charities of the Allentown Diocese. They submitted on behalf of the county our first monthly report the end of July. We've had 39 total who've applied for assistance, 19 landlords and 20 tenants. Number of households served or impact, 20. Talking to PHFA, Pennsylvania Housing Financing Authority, $185,000 is being dispersed for grant relief to Carbon County based on these requests. So we continue to move ahead with that. All right, let me see if there's anything else on the agenda. Like I said, I got to cut out of here in a minute or two. Personnel report, nothing of significant other than the purchasing officer has been named, so they'll be sending out, the county will be sending out an offer to that individual. We'll see how that goes, and then we'll move from there. All right, so that's really it. So let me see if there's any, before I get out of here, let me see if there's any questions. Nope, I don't see any questions, so I apologize. I have to cut out. I have to email a few quick things before I cut out of here. Again, I'm always available, 570-503-6780. This is Chris Lukasevich, Carbon County Commissioner. Don't feel to reach out to me. Issue concern. If I can't answer it, I'll try to direct you to that individual, organization, or entity that will be most likely able to help you resolve your issue or concern. Any feedback will be greatly appreciated. Park ranger upgrade. That's a pretty good one. Well, congratulations to Mark Janner. He'll be moving from a Ranger 2 to a Ranger 1 here in short order. So congratulations to Mark Janner, one of our seasonal park rangers. So again, Chris Civic, I'm out of here. Hey, don't forget, next Thursday, 8 o'clock, join me for Carbon Matters live streaming. Let me see if I get this on here. All right, I'm going to be joined by Joe Stearns of Better Schuylkill PAC, Political Action Committee, right? Joe and I, we're going to be discussing for the 2/3 of Carbon Matters, we're going to be discussing home rule, right? That's another form of management or administration of a county. So in lieu of having 3 commissioners full-time, you actually appoint or elect a chief executive who runs the county with the commissioners actually being part-time commissioners. You could actually have 7, 9, or 11 part-time commissioners. So it's more like a publicly traded company structure where you have a CEO plus a board of directors. So we're going to discuss that. There is a movement in Schuylkill County to create a home rule charter. I'm a big proponent of it. I'd love to see it here in Carbon County. Love to have more commissioners, part-time commissioners, right? That's going to save a little bit of money, but also you're going to get more geographical representation across the county. Like right now, what do we have? The epicenter of the county has the elected officials, at least at the commissioner level. You have 2 from Lehighton and 1 from Jim Thorpe. And wouldn't it be great if we could kind of spread that out, maybe have 7 part-timers, but representing the full expanse, full representation, at least geographically. Obviously, we serve the entire population, north, south, east, and west, each corners, but it would be good to have someone from the northeast, southwest, east, west, right? Okay, so we're going to talk about that next Thursday, 8 o'clock, Carbon Matters live streaming at Chris, Carbon County Commissioner. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. Have a great afternoon.